Hi, guys. It's Dr. Liz Jenkins with Dr. Liz Coaching. How are you? How are you? It's day 15. Can you believe that? And we are inside couples conflict. I hope you've been following along. And if you're just finding me, just go back. There's 15 or 14 prior days that I'm explaining what happens inside couples conflict and how we can change it from conflict to a conversation, even a tough one, but it's a conversation. And that's one of the things I want you to be able to do so you can show up successful in your relationships or your marriage. So what is day 15 all about? Liz, let's get going, right? Day 15 is about contempt and disregard, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that looks like and how we're going to swap it out for being respectful, for using our words, identifying and noting the emotions that maybe we're oozing up in as contempt. So first of all, what is contempt? Contempt is nonverbal and verbal. It is the snarly faces, it's those body languages that really tell the other person we really couldn't be bothered by them, or that we just feel like they are so slow, dumb, incompetent, you fill in the blank. All right. And so contempt can look like, head shaking, eye rolling. Oh my God. A little under the voice kind of thing. Can't really exactly hear what they're saying, but it's not good. They may do this kind of dismissive type of thing. Very classic is a snarl, where one person's like, okay. Maybe even a little head jingling kind of thing. Our face, our hand gestures, our body posture, all of that is contemptuous. And so it's nonverbal, but it ends up being verbal, right? Especially when some of the sounds kind of ooze out with the huffing and puffing kind of thing. It's our tone. Okay, let's hear it this time kind of thing. It is the pace. Would you hurry up and tell me what it is that you think is so important for why we have to stop here? Come on, let's go. Come on, hurry. Hurry. You wanted it. Let's go. That type of thing. It's the volume. It raises or it lowers. The pace slows down or speeds up. Okay. So you kind of get this whole general gestaltish kind of thing for contempt. And wasn't it like in Snoopy, there was a little guy, Pigpen, little character, and wherever he went, there was always like this cloud of things and dust and stuff following him. That's sort of what contempt is. This person is standing here, but they're sort of throwing all this stuff out, which is disrespect and dismissiveness and kind of condescending. It's all wrapped up into it, and it's not good. In fact, it's the Gottmans, Dr. John Gottman and Julie Gottman, they've identified that as like the kind of the most critical and the most damaging of conflict styles, just so you know. So if it's part of you, right, it's part of your partner, your spouse, we're here to swap it out, because you don't have to stay that way. They don't have to stay that way, but it comes with some strings attached. So what are we going to do? We're going to swap out this cloud, contemptuous, oozing disrespect cloud. We need to swap it out with respectful words, respectful behavior. We need to swap it out with, first of all, even knowing that we're doing it. And I can tell you that honestly, when folks are in this contemptuous thing, it's typically they are unaware of what their face or their body is doing. Their body is speaking for them, and typically it's it's closed off to them. So the key here is you guys as a couple, or if it's just you and your partner, is not there to participate, you want to start getting in touch with what are the triggers, what are the words. Ideally, the two of you are there, and in a nice way, you guys have an agreement in a nice way. When contemptuous behavior or disrespectful behavior starts to show up, we do something like, hey, I don't know if you realize it right now, but you just did that eye rolly thing. Oftentimes, like, no, I didn't. What? Oh, mm-mm, mm-mm. Okay. But we want to not finger point. Now, you're doing it, but we want to say, hey, I don't know if you realize it, but that thing is going on that we saw with Dr. Liz, and we've got to stop it. I would like you to stop it. And then you might get really clear. I don't know if you realize it right now, but you're starting to pick up the pace and you're starting to like hurry me along. And that's part of the thing that we got to stop. Right? So it's agreement between the two of you to identify without judging that it's cropping up. And then we take a break, a bit of a break, and then we go back and we figure things out. If someone doesn't recognize, or if you don't recognize that you're doing it, it's really, really helpful to go back and let's talk about what were the words or what was the topic? What was the last thing that I said or you said that started me into the like kind of thing, right? Because those are triggers. Those are things that we're having an emotional response around, but we may not be aware. And so we need to go back to that emotion or that trigger thing so we can think about it, problem solve it, and then put respectful words and behaviors behind it. So what I find that when folks have contemptuous behavior, oftentimes they were raised in families or grew up in situations or relationships where they didn't have the ability to voice what they were feeling. It would have been too dangerous. It would have started a fight. It wasn't allowed. Whatever it might be for that family. Oftentimes as kids, maybe we had to kind of stand and be lectured at, okay? Stand there and take it. And if we interrupted that, it was worse. Maybe we got even worse, spanking or beating. Maybe things were taken away from us or the lecture continued on again. So some folks have been sort of conditioned to have all this stuff going on in their head, to have an emotional feeling and have their own opinions, but they can't express it for fear of something. Maybe some folks have been in relationships where over time they had to shut down and shut up. Otherwise, bad things happened and the relationship couldn't tolerate. Friendship, intimate relationship, whatever it was. Okay. So if you're coming from a place where contemptuous behavior is showing up for you, or if your partner or spouse is showing that, then recognize that it may have come from an earlier situation and we need to relearn. And so how do we relearn? Well, one, we know it's happening. We identify it's happening. And then we go back and become detectives. And what in that conversation did I just say? Or how did you feel about that, what I was just saying? And that helps us and them start to put things together. Maybe it's, well, I was feeling really frustrated, Liz. And it was like, this was like, can you hurry up? I've been hearing this story all, if you've had your turn and I want to talk. So, okay, they might have been feeling frustrated because I was grandstanding, taking, the conversation, the bulk of the conversation. Maybe they were feeling impatient because they just wanted to get this thing resolved so they could go to bed. Maybe they were feeling anxious or worried that they were going to forget their point of the fight or the conversation if they didn't just kind of interrupt me, like, come on. All right. So we want them to go back, or we want us to go back and identify trigger words, emotions, and then we can swap it out. Because let's just go back and say that I was grandstanding and taking over this fight or this conversation, and then I've been talking for a long time. I've been known to. Okay. And they wanted to say something way back there, like 2 minutes into my part, but they didn't. They didn't interrupt me, or they were trying to just wait, thinking I would get done. We can go back and have some more respectful behavior. So maybe the next time they can say, okay, hey, hon, just 1 second. I want to add something. Okay. It's soft. Hey, hon, Just 1 second. Do you mind? I want to comment on that. Respectful. It's an invite. Yeah, sure. No problem. Or let me use one more thing and then you can do it. Okay. Take turns. So we want you guys to identify what's happening, identify the words, the emotions, and then think about how could we swap it out to where I'm respecting myself, I'm respecting you, I'm talking about what's going on, I'm expressing my emotions, I'm feeling really frustrated. You know, for me, it doesn't matter, Liz, whether you meant to or you didn't. The fact is, it happened. Okay. And now this leaves us, or it leaves me, or I feel overlooked, neglected, worried, anxious, whatever it might be. Okay. So that's your homework for any of you guys that are traveling in relationships that include contempt, disregard, disrespect. Okay. You know what to do. We're going to come up with agreement that we're going to talk about it. So we're going to have to flag it. Flag, hey, just a second. I don't know if you realized it, right? We're going to accept that. We're going to say, what did I do if I don't know? They can tell you what they saw. Okay. Then we go back and figure out what were they saying? What was I feeling? What did I want to say or didn't know that I was feeling at that moment? And then we do a redo. Yeah. We go back and say, okay, if we could wind back that conversation about 2 minutes into it, Liz, here's what I wanted to say. And we go back and they hear his part or their part or her part. And we move forward. Right? It's cool. It's easy. No, it's not. Okay. It is really simple, but I am asking you to interrupt maybe lifelong styles and patterns. So hang in there. Keep practicing. You have questions, I'm here. DM me. If you'd like to have more one-on-one time and we can really get these conflict strategies in place, join me in my Reignite couples program where we work for 8 weeks or 30 days together and we figure these out. So I'm going to pop off and again, DM me. I'd love to chat more with you about my Reignite couples program. Bye.